Well, good afternoon, West Ham fans. Russ, the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well this lovely Wednesday, bin day Wednesday in the Button House, despite it being a bank holiday. Absolute scenes. This morning I went through sort of a review of the loans, both players we've sent out on loan. Actually, it's all players we sent out on loan. I didn't review Soler or Evan Ferguson, but in terms of the first team and the academy players, in terms of um, how their loan spells have been, obviously some of us still going. The likes of George Earthy still in the playoff scene, so that'll be starting on Thursday, the first leg of their tie against Sheffield United. Sort of talking a bit about what's next for them and where it's worked and where it hasn't worked. So go back and check that out. It's quite comprehensive, very comprehensive, in fact. And indeed, now obviously, and Holly spoke about it at lunchtime in terms of players, sort of the third one of a series in terms of the keep, sell, loan, and she did the attackers. So she's always done defenders, midfielders, and then the attackers. It's clever, isn't it? Splitting into 3 shows then. But it is Hammers Headlines in association with our great friends at news@warrenbrown.com. Don't forget to check them out for the news, reviews, and opinions. And the transfer rumours are flying in, as you will not be surprised, with less than a month until the window officially opens. I haven't counted yet, but I've already filled up a page, but the font's relatively big, so yeah, we'll maybe look at that in a week or so just to see how ridiculous it is at the moment. Now, in terms of these all rumours, yeah, they're all players potentially coming in, and at the end, stay tuned because you might have an opportunity to win a signed Jared Bowen shirt. Just saying. So let's talk rumours and let's talk about Danes. West Ham going out for a Danish potentially. According to ex-WHU employee, he spoke in his podcast the other day about one of the leagues that we're apparently looking at is the Danish League. Now we know that traditionally, we would assume that based on Potter's previous, jaunts in the Scandinavian leagues is obviously an area that he knows very well, and it's an area which we've got quite big interest in, and we've actually done a lot of scouting as well. He said that there were scouts at the Copenhagen derby between Brøndby versus Copenhagen, and they were looking at several players. They were looking at Rodrigo Hergias, Mexican right back for Copenhagen, but the clear target is this gentleman. I'm sure you know who he is. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one. Matthias Christengarden of Brøndby, who is a 23-year-old with an impressive goal-scoring record for Brøndby, 1 in 3, and he also plays for the Danish under-21 side. There's a lot of players there that they've been looking at. Fakachilo Dush from Michelat, Osama Diallo, and Diallo Osioro, who is another player we were looking at before. And they've also been looking at Sinderuale, Egeri Nordsjælland, and Lucas Hogsberg. Don't be surprised if we see a lot more Danish players coming up. Obviously, you've relatively got a blueprint in terms of Brentford. You look at some of those players that have come, that are Danish-based players, and how successful they have been in terms of transitioning into the Premier League. It makes sense. As I said, it does seem the Danish League and the Pro League in Belgium are areas where they can see real value in terms of bringing players in. So again, won't be surprised if you see more players linked in the Pro Leagues as well. We've been linked to other players from Club Brugge and places like that. But yeah, there's some letters. There's some letters to the back of the shirt. If we get old Matthias Christengarden, yeah, have to get a lot of A's in, won't we? Have to get a lot of A's in the old shirt printers. Did we run out of Z's once? I've got a feeling we ran out of Z's once, one player. But anyway, moving on, let's talk about some old players we've been linked with. West Ham apparently have shown. I've been shown, but they've been showing strong interest in the Malawian international midfielder Malmade Diambo. from RB Salzburg. And that's according to several media sources, particularly coming out of Africa as well. The 22-year-old all-rounder midfielder was man of the match in one of Mali's AFCON under-23 fixtures this season, and he's said to be attracting serious interest from the Hammers. What's the difference between serious and just regular interest? I don't know. Who are reportedly doing everything they can to bring him to East London, apparently. His career has been modest in terms of appearances. He struggled to break into the Salzburg team and spent most of the season on loan at Swiss side FC Lausanne, where he's also found to nail down a regular slot. Still, he has some useful experience for returning to Austria. This season, he's made 20 appearances in the Austrian Bundesliga, mostly as a substitute, averaging around 43 minutes per game. He sounds like an absolute dream. He has shown flashes of quality, and obviously, as we have this sort of more analytical, they're running the data, they're running the numbers, so not necessarily sort of the appearances. It's more about how they're playing in terms of pass completions and things, and that's the type of thing that they'll be looking at in terms of looking at potential people coming in. He is described as a combative central midfielder with a decent level of mobility, a good passing range, and the ability to press aggressively. So, ticks a lot of boxes in terms of what we're potentially looking for. However, there is a slight air of caution to this, and it sort of alludes to an issue we had previously with Ibrahim Osman, who we basically spoke to the wrong agent. He apparently he's represented by 2 agents. So we shall wait and see on that. He signed a new extension to his contract last September, so he has got a deal running to the end of 28 or 29, something like that. So Salzburg are in no rush to sell him. But again, it's for me, it's showing an area where and I think this, I was going to say, coincides with reports that we've apparently turned down a move for Wissa for Brentford, and that shows it shows some sort of progression in terms of our transfer dealings. Now, whether that happens or not, whether I mean, the fact is, we were usually linked with the likes of Vardy. I mean, people come up to me, you're going to sign Vardy in the summer. Under previous regimes, maybe I think we were under previous management, maybe, but not now. It seems we apparently turned down Wissa because he's too old, but he's only 28. And I think in certain positions, I think you need a level of maturity. But I think maybe from the striker position, I think we're looking at lots of guys of, what's his name? The guy we spoke about, Matthias, 23. I think from a defender's perspective, I think 26, 27 is a good age to bring in a defender. But again, what do I know? I'm just a fat bloke talking in a broom cupboard in central London. Talking about 28-year-olds, we've been into another one. Do you believe me too? According to reports, West Ham have made contact with the 28-year-old Leeds player, Junior Firpo, mid interest with us, Everton, and Crystal Palace, amongst others. Barcelona have also shown interest in return for their Dominican Republic international, who is looking at options. Now, he's had an up and down sort of relationship at Leeds. He's been brilliant this season for Daniel Farker, and has been one of the reasons why they've managed to win the championship with 100 points. But apparently he's looking at elsewhere, and I think the likelihood is he's assuming that Leeds will probably directly go back down, and is looking at options. He's Leeds trying to time. I think he's either out of contract or he's going to be entering out of contract soon, which again is probably a reason why we're looking at him. Also, we have been linked with the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters and stuff like that, and so you can see why potentially. I mean, he could cover that left side. Him and Emerson, unless Emerson moves on, and Ollie Scars is there as well. So it could be interesting. So Barcelona are interested in him. Whether is West Ham going to be a better destination than Barcelona? Definitely not for the weather, and definitely not for if you want to play the Champions League. But he's always been a player I've been interested in. I've always, just maybe from the FIFA days, to be honest, I always kept an eye on him because he was always rapid. And I know he's 28, but he's he contradicts what I said about Weezer, to be honest. Ignore me, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anyway. Elsewhere, is this guy 28? Is David Hancko 28? I think so. But apparently we're still hanking for a Hancko. He's the latest name to be linked to West Ham in terms of that central defensive position, which an area we definitely need to look at. He's been someone we've been linked to for a while, particularly when he was before he moved to Feyenoord at I think he was at Sparta Prague. Was it Slavia Prague? I think it might be Sparta. I can't remember. So obviously there was a connection there between Danish League and if it was Slavia Prague, there was a connection between Souček and Sufal, but for the Slovenian international, he, according to a report from Football International, the Hammers are one of several clubs trying to steal a deal for the defender. It states that Feyenoord will seek considerably more than their 50 million euro valuation that they placed him last summer. We apparently face competition from the likes of Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, Al Nassr, an unnamed German club, and you would assume, based on his time at Feyenoord, you'd assume someone like Liverpool would be interested in him as well, potentially. 27-year-old, as I said, he's completed the most passes and made the most progressive carries in the division in the Eredivisie last season. He's solid, good numbers. You know what you're going to get. Ball playing Craig Dawson. But he's left side and also going to play left back as well. So, he could cover two positions. I think we definitely need someone on that left-handed side, and if they move Kilman into the middle or bring in another central defender, I don't know, but he could add that sort of toughness, which I think we've missed since Craig Dawson left, to be honest. So not just under Potter, not just under Lopetegui, but the last sort of season and a half under Moyes, we missed that sort of grit, and I think someone like David Hancko could bring that. And yeah, he excites me. Again, 27. Maybe he's on the slight cusp of where they're looking to bring players in, but you're not going to win. Every person that comes in is not going to be a 21, 22, 23-year-old person. And if it meant that maybe, for example, you bring in David Hancko, you get rid of Aaron Cresswell, you've lessened the average age of the squad straight away by doing that. Possibly. Anyway, as I was saying, as I promised at the beginning, do you want to win a Jared Bowen signed shirt? Do you want to? We're going to be running in the next couple of months several raffles for signed shirts and stuff. And the first one is our illustrious captain, Jared Bowen. There he is, signed, picture taken when he was signing it. And it actually says Bowen's on fire on the signature, which is very rare that he signs things with Bowen on fire, but we've got him to sign it. So that's going to be available to raffle soon. We'll have all the information coming up in the next day or so. It's going to be about £5 a ticket, and a percentage of that's going to go to the Iron Supporting Food Banks or Anton's charity. We'll probably do 1 month for Anton's charity, 1 month for the Iron Supporting Food Banks to sort of even it out a little bit. But that will be very, very soon, so keep an eye on that. And then we've got several others as well. We'll have a Paolo Di Canio raffle. We've got a Mark Noble raffle. We'll have a Trevor Booking signed shirt raffle as well. Plus, we've also, if you're a channel member, you get in your monthly free raffles already. So that is part of your membership. So we've got some good prices for that as well. So keep an eye on that. But anyway, take care, everyone. Don't forget to check out anything.com for latest news, reviews, and opinions. And I'll see you on the flippity flop. Much love. Bye bye.